How's it going, YouTube? Today we're going to be taking a look at not this hair, but we're going to be taking a look at the Age of the Primes Deluxe Class Vortex. Our first of the Combaticons, and he looks pretty good so far. Uh, Looking at images of what we've seen so far of the Combaticons it's going to be great. Um, it's been confirmed that the leg bots are going to be on the front of the legs rather than on the back, which is fantastic. And then just seeing pictures of Brawl and Blast Off, which are already basically fully conceptualized, just waiting on their release dates. And then seeing the concept art for Onslaught, just fantastic. The Combaticons are my favorite team of combiner characters. I have a few different iterations of the Bruticus. So I've got like the Machine Boy knockoff of the Warbitron set. And then of course I have the Combiner Wars set, which has been it's been customized a little bit. You can't actually get up high enough for this, but I've customized it a little bit, painted the chest and stuff silver. And of course, I've got the Prime Wars Trilogy Blast Off to have that shuttle. But yeah, so the Combaticons are my favorite team. I also, you've probably seen in a previous review, I have the knockoff of the Iron Factory. This is the I can't remember the company, Deformation, whatever. Anyway, yeah, the Combaticons are my favorite team. I'm so excited for Swindle because he's my favorite Decepticon. But we have Vortex to look at today, and Vortex, he's a helicopter. He's molded in this like metallic silver plastic, and it's got this like swirl to it, which kind of makes me wonder about the longevity of how this is going to last. Just it's giving GPS plastic. It's giving that same kind of feel. And I'm not a stranger to GPS. I've experienced it a few times. I've actually got this thing here, Magna Boss, and there's a few parts on here that have actually crumbled. I try to be very careful. It's mostly this hinge has completely disintegrated. It's just enough material there to hold that pin in place anymore. And so this guy, I don't even really mess with this anymore. As you can see on this side, it's not disintegrated there. But if you look at, if we can get some of this dust off. But if you look at the pearlescent material here, this plastic, it's very much that swirly metallic plastic. And we don't really see the swirly plastic as much anymore. They kind of, it kind of went on the wayside, so we don't have to deal with GPS as much. The last few figures that had GPS were from the first Transformers live action movie back in 2007. But yeah, I'm not sure how I feel about this swirly metallic plastic. I'm hoping it doesn't end up with that same issue 10 years down the road, but I guess the closest thing we've gotten to that swirly plastic is, the original release of the Legacy Metal Hawk, and it's not really even that swirly. It's very pearlescent, and that's what we've been seeing is the more pearlescent plastic that's not super swirly, but this is a very swirly plastic. It reminds me of Mega Constructs, Mega Blocks, just the way it's molded. Yeah, it's kind of alarming, and I've seen a lot of other people who have the same kind of thoughts. So I'm not gonna let that ruin my fun of this figure, because it's a fun figure. He does have a few issues, obviously. There's no perfect figure, but yeah, it's just something I'm going to be very vigilant of in the future. Just this silvery plastic has this weird swirling in it, and like I said, that was indicative of a lot of the figures that used to have the GPS issues. Another thing about this figure, and this is something I don't usually point out, is the instructions. With the instructions, I've already gone on 6 minutes on this video, but in the instructions, they do tell you to do something wrong when you're going to helicopter mode. They tell you to turn the tail fin that way. And so if you do that, what you end up with is this. And for one, there's a nub there that pushes it out. And for two, it's, you know, your tail stabilizer is completely, like, upright. So just make a note of that when you do transform this guy. This tail fin section goes this way. It also shapes out the rest of the tail here. I don't know why they messed up the instructions like that, but everything else in the instructions looks fine. So helicopter mode, it looks pretty good. He does have the molded in wheels, just like we saw with Slingshot. This one's actually attached to the back of the head, just like with Slingshot, and then these are molded into the legs. And basically, this guy is Slingshot, but turned around. So, like on Slingshot, the legs become the back of the jet. On him, the legs become the front of the helicopter. The blades spin very freely. They are pinned. So, that's really nice that they spin nice and freely. This back one's on a clip, but it does also spin nice for like a second. But, you know, nobody who's playing with their helicopter usually messes with the tail rotor. It's usually just, you know, spin the top rotor. Molding, very, very nicely detailed molding panels in here with the doors, windows, painted windows. Even the trim around these windows is painted silver, and that's a really nice touch. I do enjoy that. Then there's silver paint up here on the rotor. There's a gnat flying around in here. This nice blue line here. I do wish that they had done 2 separate stripes, because it's all molded in, and then like the CGI renders have 2 separate stripes, but on the toy itself it's just one solid stripe. The back landing gear is that blue plastic, and then under here you can see, you know, chest and leg details for robot mode. This is a bit unsightly here, but it's not so bad in hand. It's pictures made it look a lot worse than it is, but yeah, in hand it's not too terrible. And then this is kind of jarring here, just going from the head to the, you know, tail. It's a little bit jarring, but it's not too bad once again. Accessories, he comes with 2 of these blasters, and there's a few ways we can mount them. There's this tab here, and then there's the 5mm post. And he's got a lot of these tab slots on him. He's got one here, and then there's some underneath here on what will become the arms. And then, of course, a couple down here as well. So you can use these and just tab these guns wherever. You can do like this look, which is pretty cool. It kind of reminds me of like the Armada helicopter combiner mold or whatever, where they had like the feet things underneath, and then it's just double blaster or whatever. Ooh, if I don't drop him. Or you can mount them on the sides here, sides of the front. Another weird thing is this nose moves up. I think that's to accommodate for the hand in combine mode, but it's kind of weird that it moves like that. It does add a little bit of articulation in his robot mode, though. Yeah, you can put those on there like that. You can put them back here on these slide. They can go anywhere in that position. You put them up higher, you put them down lower, so that works well. And then the 5mm posts, you can plug them in here, and then that's more like the G1 toy, where they're attached to the tail of the helicopter. And so there's that. And then once again, there's a tab slot down here that you can tab them into. And this is where I put them for his combined mode. I put them down here. And yeah, so there's those two little guns. We'll put them on here for a second. And here. And then we'll go ahead and get his main blaster. Very nicely sculpted. It's got a scope on top, and it's got a tab on either side as well, so you can tab that in as well to wherever you want. All of these are 5mm. They're all blast effect compatible. So let me grab our little blast effect here, and you can plug it on there. They are kind of shallow, so they will fall right off if you shake them a little bit. Yeah, they're not very swooshable with this on, but yeah, they're all compatible with the blast effects. So yeah, very cool helicopter mode, and yeah, I really like the way it looks. I just don't like the plastic they've used. Transformation, since this video is already 12 minutes long, so you want to flip that landing gear up, and then we're going to start by turning this tail fin. Well, we want to turn it the other way. You're going to turn it that way, so it's completely vertical with the tail, and then there's a tab that connects it, so you want to just undo that tab so you can pull that out, and then just pull the tail apart. And so when you pull the tail apart, it's going to pull these side engines here also. And you just rotate that out. The cat's being loud. Rotate that out on both sides, and those will form the arms. But what we want to do next is we want to go to this back section here and just rotate it. And then once we've rotated that, we can now free up the legs. So you'll bring down these panels here, and then these tap in pretty securely up here at the top. So you want to be mindful of that. There's these two tabs here. They just tab into the back of the legs here. And then those will clip into place right there. And then just close these legs up. And then you can open up the feet. And it's very much Slingshot. This guy is very much like Slingshot except for the arms. Open the legs, and then what we want to do here is this panel will come out on a double hinge on the arm. And same thing on this side. It'll come out on a double hinge. And so we'll talk about that in a little bit. And then this panel here that's on the back of the head will fold back and into this little cavity back here. And then we can go ahead and flip the backpack back up. Just leave that down in there. And rotate his head, and then we can rotate these. I've seen it like this. I think that's how his character model is in the cartoon, with these like straight down like this, but that's how I like to do them. And there he is. There's Vortex in his robot mode. And then we can go ahead and arm him up. I like to stick these guns onto the sides of his arms here. Once again, that's kind of indicative of the G1 toy. And then give him this blaster in his hand. And so there's Vortex in his robot mode. And he looks pretty good. He looks like he jumped right off of the cartoon, honestly. So paint-wise on his head, he's got this big red visor. It's kind of like like a pinkish red. It's very salmony, I guess. Silver faceplate here. It's got some blue on his chest, blue here on this abdomen section, and then black on his legs. Nice Decepticon logo tampographed here. That's about it for paint in robot mode, other than what we've already seen on the helicopter form. He's very dynamic. I took a picture of him the other day standing on one foot in a pose, and it was really cool. Yeah, he's very good looking in robot mode. He looks just like he popped off the character model from Sunbow. Articulation wise, his head's on a ball joint and it can rotate 360 degrees. The ball joint is right at the bottom of his chin, so he has like all this behind where the ball joint is, and it kind of throws off. It kind of throws off where his head's at, because you'd think that the neck would be toward the back of the head versus the front of the head, but it's like right under his face. He can look up a good ways, so he'll be able to, look up and take commands from Onslaught when that comes out. Down, he can look just a little bit down. His arms are on universals, so they can go 360 degrees. And then they go out here at this joint. If you want, you can take the rotor off, and it can also attach to the arm, but you can't really use it for anything. But it is also on a 5mm post. Bicep swivels, and it can go all the way around. These arm kibble get in the way, but 90-degree elbow joint. Nothing at the hand, and like you can see how it's like half cut off just due to the molding it's necessary that it's molded like that for the kibble here. And then this just flaps around, and you can, if you want, tuck it in a little bit, but then you can see it's very visible from the front if you do that. It just cleans it up a little bit, but then you have these sticking out from the fist. Waist swivel, it's very tight. The waist swivel on this guy is very tight. Which is not a bad thing. Universals for forward and back get you the full Monty. And then you can go out for the full Van Damme split, and to ice the cake, he can put his feet flat down doing that. With the ankle rockers. He does have a rocker here as well, and you can use that for articulation. It's not super well utilized. I think if it rocked forward it would have been better, but just due to I think it's designed like that for the combined mode. The nose can move forward to get out of the way of the fist of the combined robot. Thigh swivel, a little bit hollow in here. That's what we come to expect from these arm bots. And then 90-degree bend at the knee. So yeah, really well articulated deluxe. Only thing you really ask for is more hand rotation in some of the deluxe figures we've been getting, but for the price point, what we're getting on these guys is really good. Now let's talk about the kibble elephant on the arms, so to speak. And it's kind of ridiculous. I feel like they could have done a lot better. I feel like Hasbro could have done a lot better with the management of the arm kibble. Even if like it wasn't a big chunk that hung off the back, if like it somehow converted and was part of the arm, or was just part of the arm in general, I think it would have been so much better. But just what they've done here is it makes a mess. It really is a bit of a mess. It's very off-putting, and you can hide. You don't see it from the front here, but when you're articulating the figure and it's just there and it's not great. I feel like they could have managed it better. They have managed it better on other figures. They've managed a lot of kibble better on even recent figures. Like we have so many figures that have had some kibble, but it's managed a lot better. This just feels like we're taking a step back and looking at legacy, the legacy leg bots for Menasor. They just are not well thought out. Um, we have figures like, let me see. We have figures like Gears, where his backpack is, it's there, but all of the wheels fold up. The the chest is made of part of the lower chassis of the vehicle. You don't have a lot of kibble, and this is a smaller figure, and it's just so much more well-rounded. Now, granted, it doesn't have to become, armor for an arm, but essentially, this guy's arm mode is just pieces of armor that go onto a skeletal arm. He's not doing any extra. There's no extra that goes into that. It's just a vehicle mode split in half. And I feel like they could have done a lot better here with the arm kibble and mitigating, because it's the entire length of his arm is just a chunk of kibble. And you can pull it off, you can take it off, but I feel like that's even cheating there. Like it's a transformer. It's meant to transform and not have a bunch of parts taken off of it. Like even the G1 figure does it better, where the arms become the tail of the helicopter, but there's not big chunks of kibble hanging off. They there's a bit of imagination that goes into it. But with what we've gotten, even in the last 10 years, even the last 20 years, this guy's arms, the kibble is just kind of egregious. That's the only downside to his robot mode for me. Between that and then the silver plastic that they've used with the swirling in it, those are the biggest off-putting things about this figure. And I hate that it's off-putting, because he's one of my favorite characters. He's one of the Combaticons. My favorite combiner is Bruticus, and I was so stoked about hearing about getting a new Bruticus, and when I saw his arm kibble, I'm just like, well, now I'm just getting him out of, I'm getting him out of obligation to finish a figure, to finish a combiner that I really want. And I hate to say that. Now, is this better than Combiner Wars? Yeah, it's a hell of a lot better than the Combiner Wars figure. But I feel like he could have been, it could have been even better had they not made the choices they made with the arm kibble. So, we'll go ahead and take a look at some comparisons real quick. Here he is with Siege Megatron. We're going to take a look at our regular guys, who've become our regular guys here lately. Here's Bombshell. You can see deluxe scale. Optimus. So yeah, he's about the same height as the Insecticons, other than this up here. But yeah, I feel like the choices made in regards to this kibble and how to mitigate it and how to use parts of the vehicle in the robot mode have been like, look, this guy's at a higher budget, obviously, but this is clever use of kibble. Just fold it all up into a neat little box. The legs, a lot of kibble's hidden in the legs, stuff like that. So yeah, I just feel like the kibble could have been managed a lot better. And I've gone on a long tangent with this and a long rant, but I expected better out of this. Even the kibble management on like figures like Dragstrip. he had those big shoulder things, but it was still, it seemed like it was being used in a way that made some sense. Like, yeah, sure, it wasn't accurate to the Sunbow model, but it still like was being utilized in a way that made some sense. This is just big chunks of helicopter hanging off the arm, and not even hanging off like the upper part of the arm. I would have been more. Okay, I would have been more keen to forgive this if it was like attached to the upper part of his arm or something. But this is like, he moves his arm. Look at that. It's not great. You can. Well, even then, it's a loose joint. It's just a friction joint. So, you know, and like I said, if you wanted, you could pop them off. Well, maybe. You can pop them off somewhere. There you go. You pop them off if you really wanted to give them clean arms. But it's kind of sad that that's what we have to resort to make our figures look better, to pop pieces off of them. So this has been my look at Vortex. He's a good figure, other than the kibble. If they had done something better with that kibble, it would have been a much better figure. But this is the choices that Hasbro has made, the designers have made. This is what was greenlit. My figure is going to be in basically arm mode once Bruticus comes out, but with the rest of the figures. And I've been really just displaying him attached to Superion until we get the rest of the aerial bots. It was disappointing first seeing the kibble on the arms in the initial pictures that we saw when they announced the figure and they announced the release date and everything. There was a lot of anticipation for this figure. For the Combaticons in general, there's a lot of anticipation. The other guys look great so far. Brawl looks fantastic. Blastoff looks really good. He does look like he's an aerial bot with some modifications, though. But he looks good, and he does attach the wrong way to the combined mode, but that's forgivable because of the system that they're using here. But we haven't had, even Combiner Wars, the Prime Wars trilogy, which, we'll look at that real quick. Even this figure, combines on the wrong part. But, it was okay. That was okay, Do I foresee this being made into Alpha Bravo? I don't know if they're going to revisit Alpha Bravo in the future. I'd like to see them revisit Alpha Bravo in the future, but honestly, I think the arms are the most off-putting thing for this thing for me, and it's sad because I anticipated, these figures, the Combaticon figures. I'm so excited to see what Swindle looks like when they finally announce that, since he's been pushed back. But yeah, he's okay. He's a good figure with a major flaw. And do I recommend him? I do recommend him. Because he is a good figure. He just has one flaw. And that flaw is, it brings him down to just a good figure when he could have been a great figure. So this has been my review of the Transformers Age of the Primes Deluxe Class Vortex. This is Weston's Toys and Collectibles. And until next time, till all are one.